So, hello and welcome to this final update of my quest of bringing the automation game world to life in the game Transport Fever 2. So the year is 2016 and that's the end of the build phase because there will be no really meaningful vehicle updates after this, so we can consider this finished. There will be a few new vehicles after that, but they wouldn't make any real difference. So I think this is a good time to conclude the build process. And what I'm going to do with this episode is to give you a full overview and a walkthrough through the map. So we start in the west in Gasmea, and then we move slowly east till we have arrived at Dalluha. In addition to this overview, there are also a set of other videos available with bus rides, car rides, train rides, and plane rides across the map, so that you, even if you don't have the game, you can still view all the different parts of the map from different angles. If you have the game, then there is a thread on the automation discourse where you can download the final save, add a few mods, and then have the map sort of play out for yourself. Alright, then let's start. So in the west, we have the Highlands area here. So these are the mountains with a few mining operations that you can see. And then at the Westland here, so I think based on the names, this is modeled something like Scotland or Wales or something. So Penya, Menwin, Eastport, and this mine here is a stand-in for Westport. So that's a bit of a funny naming of these cities. Then Cassmouth at the mouth of the River Cass, which I think is this one, and then Barren Hill in the north. Then is then the first town, I think, in the area of Blackenvale. So that's this part here. So Barren Hill, Highport, Midbury, and you see mainly farmland here. One plastics factory. And here we have a couple of mines around the Highlands. One bricks factory as probably one of the highlights here for this region. As a footnote, so here is the place where the automation test track is located. And what I've put here is the HQ building in the game. So this would be that there is the camshaft headquarters, and so this is there. Would be the dam that you can see in the beam map, which of course is all too small to fit on here. So simply as a footnote, this is Wairua, where the automation test track is canonically located in the game. So to the east of the Highlands, we have the Great Lakes area. So here you see lots of shift traffic in this space, and then we have the cities of Lawston and Clearus. Crafton, the capital of Harford, with a big airport, a big passenger station, and a big cargo station with lots of traffic at all times. Big port, also inland port, lots of industry around here, so a machines factory, an oil refinery, a tools factory, steel mill at Winley. The machines factory is the stand-in for Bishopsville, so simply as a footnote, so not all cities that are on the actual map do fit on here, because you can see that the scale is a bit off in terms of city sizes and also size of the infrastructure. So the airport is about as large as the entire capital, Harford, but yeah, that's the nature of the game. So many factories are just stand-ins for the actual cities. So here we would have the city of Tripam up here, and here is just the ore mine, and then that's say it's usually smaller cities, so that this industry dominates the city, and so that's why some places such as Winley are not on the map. They're just an industry there, not a city. And at the other end of the Great Lakes, so Lake Hepping, and the other lakes here is the town of Springvale. So that's the sort of heartland of Gasmea, where most of the heavy industry is. And yeah, as you can see, plenty of ship traffic, both local ships and also then the ocean-going ships in air quotes go through here. So the local ships are these, I think tugboats are they called, and then the larger, normally river ships such as this one here is the model I use for the ocean-going ships, because there are no useful mods for truly ocean-going ships. There is one mega a container vessel which has a broken horn, and so if you honk the horn, then the game crashes. And I don't think, at least I haven't found anything else. So I'm using the larger ships for the coastal vessels, and then these things here for ships that are just on the rivers and on the lakes here. To the south, in the west, we have the island of Vianta, which originally belonged to Fruinia. So you can see the Italian names Archana and Portaminta, but now belongs to Gasmea as part of some geopolitics. And yeah, not much happening on this island. So farm, 2 logging operations, another farm here, and that's it. So the town of Liviana. Here very rural, and then the larger cities here with actual cities, so one at the western end and the other one at the eastern end, and yeah, one train line with some ancient for the year 2017 now rail bus making its way between the two sides of the island. So let's stay in Gasmea for a while. So we had the Highlands area, and then Black and Whale in the north, the heartland around the Great Lakes here in the middle. Then we have another ridge, that's the Lannon Ridge, so that we can see here that is pretty high. You don't really see it from up top. So the snow here is part of the Hetvesian Alps, so this Lannon Ridge goes into the Hetvesian Alps here to the south. And then we get to the Great Plains, which is here this middle area. So towns of Aylesbury, Picton, Durbridge, probably at the edge of the Great Plains. Here in the south we have Lanwick, Sheldon, Rayford. These are all just industries because they didn't really fit a city in here. And if I would have put, for instance, Southfield as a city, then this would probably have merged in the meantime with Picton. And so that's why we have just industries here, and then one small but very important cargo hub here, the Aylesbury cargo station. It is here because I need this corner here, this curve, to be reasonably fast. This is at the moment just 100 kph, and if I were to build it next to actual Aylesbury, not on the other side of the river here, then this would have a very slow corner. So in the north, we get a few more towns here on the coast. So Midbury is, I think, the end of Black and Vale. So then we have North Gasmea, so Hollymore, Seaby, and Durbridge. So again, very rural here. A logging operation, mining operation, more farms. That's basically it. And another bricks factory. The river here very busy, so the lifeline here both going to the south. So the river Enns, it's Enns water, and then here this other river as well, this other arm which goes into the French-speaking area, Val-de-Meuve. And so with the 2 towns that are modeled, so Vinon-le-Bain, the capital, and Chapelle, and then there are a few other towns, so Poitiers and Valgoinet. And so again, you see lots of forests, so but not much of heavy industry. A food factory, so the famous French food that's being exported to all sorts of places. And then if we go further east, we get to the German-speaking area of Gasmea, so Schemland, with Rensweiler and Wilburg, and the steel town of Erkhausen, which is just a steel mill. Here Wilburg is then the regional capital, has its own airport, because it's literally in the center of the map, so that makes sense. And these, both the French and the German-speaking areas, and the Scandinavian area here up top as well, where we were going to be getting to, were originally at some point in the distant past their own countries, but now they've all merged into Gasmea, and then they're probably more or less autonomous regions, so that's why they retain their own, part of their own infrastructure. And here is another mountain ridge between these areas, the Schwerthöhe, so the sword heights, if we were to translate it literally. And yeah, so that's the natural border between Shemland here, which extend to the north as well, and Avignon-le-Meurthe, Val-de-Meuve, the French part. So here is more of Shemland, so Felsbach, a town in the middle of nowhere, which I always forget when making updates. Hammersbach, so Hammersbrook, with a machines factory, and then in the north, Bad Neusund, at the border of Archana. And the border town of Rosendorf, Tenelova. So Rosendorf is this part on the Gasmean side, and Tenelova the other part on the Archanan side. So then we have the border here, the river. In the past decades, so there was not much traffic here, and this was probably a very well-guarded border. But now that the borders have opened in 1990, when you can sell your Gasmean cars in Archana and vice versa, then there will be much more traffic. And the same here in the north. So here, that was the old border bridge between Gasmea and Archana, and we have a new train line actually going between these two countries, which hasn't existed before. In the north here in the middle, where we haven't been, so in our mostly counterclockwise move through Gasmea, is the Scandinavian part, so Kronhaven and Kirkstad, so more mining and another steel mill modeled on real life Scandinavia, which I think especially Sweden is a big producer of steel, but otherwise, yeah, lots of empty land and coast, wind-swept, and not much happening here. So I think that was by and large Gasmea. So then let's move further south. Next country, Hetvesia. So a little bit modeled on Switzerland, with high mountains, but also with a coast, and being in the south. So Karstadt am Strand, the town, or one of the cities closest to Gasmea. The other one would be Tannenstein further up, where it's just a machines factory here uphill. And these Alps are really, really high. So to give an idea, that's all mountains. And then here is even then permanent snow. I think this here is the Weisshorn mountain, so the Whitehorn, which has its own cycling race in other cyclist tactics. And then, yeah, lots of farms here in the Hetvesian Alps, so at Greifingen and Teberau, and further east in Windtal and Oberaltdorf and Unteraltdorf, as well as Riemsboden. Naubad, the only city that I managed to squeeze into the Alps, and yeah, it fits. I'm still surprised that it did. You see the makeshift the barriers here, that the city doesn't expand too far beyond these painted-on rivers, and it seems to have worked until then. Here is the capital, Berlau, at the coast, and Berlau Airport. All the capital cities plus Wilburg, they have their own airport. Very busy coast, lots of ships here in the south. So half of this, I think, are tankers all the way from Dalluha, and bringing the crude oil, which is going to be refined in Lawson, Claris, and Harford, and then going back. The other half is then local ships here, and we have some industry here as well. So I mentioned the machines factory here in Tannenstein. Ebenhafen is basically the coastal part of Berlau, has its own food processing plant, and not just the port giving its name. Then further Meereshofen, Friedhain am Meer, with the big Dormen-Klaffenstein volcano, which I have attempted to model here. And a bit more industries, but all mainly rural stuff. So another farm at Lurenburg, Grunwald, a logging operation, a Schuffental sawmill. The Schuffental would be this thing here, so the Schuffen Valley. It just didn't fit, so I put the stand-in industry here. The Ungenstadt bricks factory, Zeilwies then as the last city that I managed to put on the map for Hetvesia, and then the border town to Fruinia. The next country over towards the east would be then Gernau, which is dominated by its tools factory. So a good mix, I think, in Hetvesia of rural stuff, especially in the mountains, so lots of farms, but also a fair amount of industry, precision tools and machines in Tannstein and in Gernau, which are also exported then to other countries. Further east, Fruinia, so modeled on Italy or Spain, and it becomes obvious from the names. So Marina as the western town in Fruinia, with an oil refinery. Here behind Via Stella we have another dormant volcano with a crater lake and a goods factory, and then the rather well industrialized coastal area of Fruinia with Porto Castelfranco, the capital of Terzo with its airport, and then here we have a fuel refinery at Narnilla, a Biancosata chemical plant, a Vita steel mill, so lots of stuff being produced here. Not to forget Meranio a bit further in with another navigable river, and then we get into the higher Alps, which has mainly mining operations and farms, so Doriana or Lago Jamega. So we here getting towards the Spanish speaking area, so this could also be Lago Jamega. I'm not sure whether this is Italian or Spain supposed to be. But here with a bit more Spanish sounding names, Sauraycanta, Calides, Porteimen, and this farm is then Cante del Mar, and the island of Illa Castella, which doesn't have a castle but just a food factory, so maybe they moved into this old castle, and then now they're producing tasty food and pastries here, which are also, I think, no, they're not export. I think that's mainly local, because this is just a small operation, supporting the nearby cities and big ports. So in Terzo here with tankers and normal ships, and lots of trucks here, then loading and unloading all the stuff and carrying it to where it needs to be. Big train station as well. Here for Terzo as the capital, and all the people who want to fly somewhere from Fruinia. So that was then Fruinia, and here you see the Alps, here the natural border between Gasmea, or the German-speaking part of Gasmea here in the north, and then Fruinia in the south, and here also to indicate the highest peaks, then permanent snow, and a few mountain passes across. So that was Fruinia. So further east is Archana, and I'm zooming out a bit because Archana has a bit of a unique geography, and here I'm not trying to pronounce the regional names. That's just a recipe for disaster. So the key geographic feature, which I think sort of hampers the entire country, is the Archanan Basin. So you see mountain ridges, if you follow my mouse pointer, around this central area with the lake and the river. So the big challenge here is to carry stuff from the outside, so from the coasts, and also from the mining and quarry and farming operations on the outside, into the internal area inside the basin where all the heavy industry is. And the stuff back out then to supply the cities on the outside. So that gave me a few headaches. And since Archana in the game is not the most developed country, I would put forward that this is one of the contributing factors, that the geography is outright terrible if you want to have efficient industrialization and transport. But let's start in the west of Archana. So I already mentioned the border town of Rosendorf-Tenelova. So Tenelova being the Archanan part here with its quarry. Then in the north we have the big hub, which is Schließer, passenger but mainly cargo. So you see the big port here, the big train station, never mind the autosave. And then here this goes then on this route here across this mountain ridge into the basin to the big hub of Vashduk, which is at the end of the river inside the basin, and then has the train station for cargo, the passenger station for the traffic that's being exchanged from within the basin going to the north, and also then further to Gasmea, and the river, where also you see lots of local ship traffic here back and forth. So let's stay with the northern coast for a while, and then we're getting into the basin. So here's some smaller towns and lots of mining inside the hinterlands. So all mine here at Notki, more mining here, Berezovka, Mentash, and this Yartas. Well, Yartas is the city here, so there was no town here, but I needed to place a few extra mines. So we have Kula, Mentash, and Yartas. So Yartas is the other big hub here in the north, where lots of the ore is being delivered. So you see here lots of trucks and also buses. So no trains here, just bus lines. And here the ore from here goes to Alrima all the way around here in Dalluha, where we'll get to in a moment. I think I can show you a Easter egg that has evolved here if I can find it. So you have animals in the game, here we are, which move around, and usually they are scared of by trains and then they die. But here apparently all the animals have migrated to this area, because usually you only have one at a time and very rarely. And here they are all over the place in this area, which is totally secluded, no trains or anything, and I have rarely been in first person mode here, and you see lots of the in-game animals here just enjoying their existence in this grove. So that's, I think, a unique feature of the map that I haven't really seen before in any of my other maps. So totally undisturbed and untouched, except for this road, which isn't even that frequented here. North of the hinterlands, where otherwise, yeah, not much is happening. So then we have the town of Nakulik at the eastern end of Archana, also very isolated. I think it ranks among the least connected cities to anything. So then we can go into the basin, so back to the west. So we had Vashduk already as the big hub, Volkov in the south with its goods factory for Archana. Then halfway along the river, also a nice smaller hub, Novobeskov, with a port north and south, and an old port here which isn't used anymore, because this one now is connected to the chemical plant here next to the city, and in the south a small cargo station for transport for goods to the south coast. Here we have not the city, but the industrial center of Zmezhki. I could probably have put another city in here, but then I would have an extra headache to connect the passengers. And I think having a big cargo station, a construction materials plant, and a steel mill, and a truck station for grain to supply the Volker food processing plant is plenty. So imagine having here a big industrial center at the southern tip of the Archanan Basin. Then we get to the eastern part around Lake Mara, so that's this lake. And then since there is water, many cities have been founded here. So you see that the overall tone of the earth, of the soil here is a bit browner. That's intentional because Archana is supposed to be dry and not that fertile. So it would be natural then that most of the cities have been founded here. So Glensk, Saki, the city of Mara, and then the capital Kronograd, plus here on the shores then Advonia, but there's only the port and the food processing plant and the station. So the capital of Kronograd is large enough that it fits this entire area. So all the capitals are a tad larger than all the other cities, and then city size depends on how well I manage to supply them with goods. And nested here into the basin, into the mountains, Kronograd Airport with a pretty steep and scary approach right over the train station and the outskirts of Kronograd. The airport needs to be here because otherwise the planes would so struggle to clear the basin mountains here in terms of game mechanics. So there weren't that many extra pixels I could have used to place it further away from the city. And here plenty of industry, so the machines factory next to Mara. So that's what I like to think is the stand-in for the factory of my main brand in automation, also called Mara. But here you don't have cars, you just have machines. So this is why this machines factory is here. Tools factory dominating the city of Elshan. A bricks factory that has been reactivated in the past decade since the borders opened, and then Yanagrad here to the north, I think we haven't mentioned, with a steel mill that also has been founded and opened rather recently to help satisfy the demand for steel now that the markets have opened and industry is booming. So that's I think where most of the Archanans live and most of the goods are produced at least somewhere inside the basin. So we have a fuel refinery here next to Vashduk as well, a tools factory and a machines factory, and the city has now basically uncovered or encombed, I think, both of them. So to the south, we have Leningrad, the border town in Archana to Fruinia. Has also grown a bit, I think, since the borders have opened. So there's a proper large train station. It's the end point of a high-speed train, and also more bus lines into Fruinia and Gasmea even. So it goes to Vilborg. Then we have Yelta in the south, another big hub, exchange between ships, a train station, and also the so passenger station endpoints. So the rest here in the south are all buses. In terms of industries in the south, mainly rural stuff, so sawmill, forest, mining operations, quarry, and farm. So Kurlin on the south, and then Svatsky and Altau as two cities that didn't fit on here. Then at the east coast, Charybda and Tuscala, and here notably Archanan's oil wells, and yeah, an extension of what is Dalluha up here, the final country. So Archana has its own oil wells, and here you see all the ship traffic, and these are exclusively tankers almost coming to and going from Dalluha and Archana, because the refinery for Archana is here in Yelta. So one of the busiest stretches of coasts, and mostly oil and crude and refined oil being transported here. So let's hope there are no ship accidents. So that concludes Archana, and then the final country shouldn't take too long. Dalluha. So you see lots of desert, and yeah, okay, the city of Arilma has sort of grown into this salt pan, where the largest drag strip is as the Canon track in automation. So the capital, Bazara, founded around an oasis here, and then has, as you can see, grown substantially. Huge train station, has its own airport, of course, as well a capital, and then the other city that I managed to model is then Alrima. Has also grown nicely and is then the hub here between the big oil port where all the oil is being exported, and a few other things are being imported, because Dalluha doesn't produce anything else except crude oil, so they have to import everything, which either comes by train here on this train route across the basin, and by ship from the south or from the north, which docks in the south, which yeah, it basically means the same thing, has the same effect, so everything is being imported here. And then the third notable thing is the oil island of Alnemra, which has then a ship connection and also a port then to export the oil to the Alrima cargo port, and here then all the tankers docking. So green is Fruinian tankers, red are Dalluhan tankers, black are Archanan tankers, red are Gasmean tankers, and then blue would be Hetvesia, but there are no Hetvesian ships here, so that's how I colored most of the ships. I don't think I have the perfectionism to color every last ship, but I think the majority are color-coded. Alright, so I think this is a nice walkthrough through different areas. Don't think we have forgotten anything. So yeah, if you're interested then in seeing stuff further up close and not just from this bird's eye view with all the icons getting in the way, then I can highly recommend the other videos next on the playlist, which then have everything from an aerial overview with flying with the planes that go back and forth between all the airports, and then a number of train rides in various parts of the map, and also 2 car rides where we simply join the simulated persons here in their automated car journeys from home to work or to shopping. So I hope this was interesting, and as I said, if you want to play the game map for yourself, then there is a link in the description to the automation discourse post where you can download the bear map as the scenario if you want to build your own version starting in 1850, and also different save games from different milestones, so 1946, 1961, etc., and the final 2016 version here as well. There are a few mods, especially for the final game, since not everything that I wanted to do is in vanilla. I tried to restrain myself, but it shouldn't be too onerous. They are all on the Steam Workshop, and I think 1946 at least has one unmodded version where most of the things are functional just with Steam, but I think that has its own charm as well. So yeah, so if you want, feel free to look at the other videos or download the saves. Otherwise, you're welcome to leave your comments, what you think about this project, what your own understandings would be, how things would look in the comments. And then all I can say now is thanks for watching and see you then.